The mission of the Bartlesville Police Department is to enhance the quality of life in our community by working cooperatively with the public and within the framework of the United States Constitution to enforce the laws, preserve the peace, reduce fear, and provide a safe environment for all of our citizens. Hello, and welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm Police Chief Tracy Rolls, and thank you for joining us. Today, the featured guest on Behind the Badge is Lorront Carey, who is the Executive Director of the West Side Community Center.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
It's a pleasure, and I thank you for this opportunity.
You bet. And the other thing I'd like to say is thank you for everything that you're doing on the west side of Bartlesville. You know, you and I have gotten to talk quite a few times at meetings, and it's not about the west side or the east side. It's about Bartlesville.
Yes, sir.
And you guys are really pushing that message and trying to integrate what we're doing, not just on one side of the town or in one demographic, but we're all from Bartlesville, and this is where we live, and we should be proud of it. We should embrace it, and we should continue to do everything that we can to make it better. So,
well said. I appreciate that, Chief, because the dynamics of Bartlesville has changed so much, and like you said, it's just not about one community. It's about the whole community. We all need that little bit of extra, and through some of the programs that we have available, you know, it benefits Bartlesville.
Sure. Absolutely. So tell us about the West Side Community Center and those the center serves.
Well, sure. Historically, the West Side Community Center's focus was for the African American community, the underserved, and at the time, a little bit, if you would say, underprivileged. They didn't have the same opportunities. And when we talk about opportunities, those are the programs that help benefit you educationally, economically, and things of that nature. And the West Side Community Center has always been kind of like the black church of the community. It's where we would go and get information and be kept up to date of opportunities. You know, naturally, when it came to voting, you know, a lot of people relied, especially in the black community, as to what was the church saying. And the community fit right in. The community center fit right in with that. So now it's not just a focus on the black community. It's the focus on the underserved, the lower income portion of this community, which, you know, has expanded throughout the entire city of Bartlesville. So what the community needs to understand is that center is there to benefit anyone and everyone who has a need.
Absolutely. You know, you and I have talked several times, and there's problems that exist in our country,
yes,
in our state. And a lot of those problems, and you and I agree about this, is that one of the reasons those problems exist is because people that look different or that think different don't have enough courage to sit across the table from each other and ask difficult questions and be prepared to hear difficult answers.
Right.
And so this next question is going to be one of those questions. You know,
okay.
Sometimes it's uncomfortable to hear that, you know, you're not as good as what you think, or you don't serve as well as what you think. So does the Bartlesville Police Department serve the black community in Bartlesville in a professional and desirable manner?
It does. It really does. You know, one of the mindsets is that, you know, the police, back in the day, the police were your friends. And of course there was some difficulties, you know, like you said, because everybody didn't look the same, you know, and today's push, especially through your tenure, I've noticed that it's about, let's get to know each other. Because if you know who you're dealing with, then you know how to handle it. Everybody can't be treated the same. There's so many different scenarios that go into this. And if you get to know who's policing or patrolling your neighborhoods, then it's going to be beneficial to you. I've watched the police department since I've returned to Bartlesville in 2012, and I've noticed that they go through great lengths to get to know who it is that they're served. And if you come at them in a hostile manner, they have the right to defend themselves, and vice versa. So, let's sit down, like you said, and talk this out. Get to know what are the needs in the communities. What problems are you having, and let the system take care of that. Let's be human to one another. Police officers have a job to do, and I understand that the community has certain things that they want to do. As long as it's within the limits of the law, then it should be okay. And I put a little film up on a Facebook not long ago of one of your officers playing basketball with a young man over off of Hickory, I do believe it was. And I had to stop. We see this worldwide, but what does that really mean? This officer on patrol took a minute out of his time, which he didn't have to do, and stopped to get to know that kid that he was playing ball with, and that was big kudos for the neighborhood relationships, and we've, like you said, we've had an opportunity where we've had community meetings, and unfortunately, individuals didn't show up. Well, that's the place that you need to come and find out what's going on, and I think if they took the opportunity to get to know you, they would know your mindset and what you're trying to do for this community.
Sure, and I appreciate you saying that. It's number one, our guy needs to get better in basketball.
that little 14-year-old was giving him
that
the devil.
14-year-old crossed him over, and it was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you posted it, but it certainly displayed some of our weaknesses. Maybe we need to start practicing some basketball. But you hit on a very, very important topic. You talk about getting to know people,
Yes.
and once you gain knowledge of people, comes a certain amount of trust.
Yes.
And once you can trust somebody, it doesn't matter if you're black, if you're white, if you're Hispanic, if you're Native American, it doesn't matter. If there's that trust, then you will have unconditional respect. And that's what we're lacking in our country.
It is. It really is. And I know I'm going to take some heat for this, but this is why I'm here. We've got to change that mindset, that old mentality. I've been blessed in the fact that I've traveled extensively, and I've seen the world, I've seen the United States, and I've seen how things have changed. And one of the things that hasn't changed here is the way we live. We've segregated ourselves when we don't have to. Oh, well, that event's not for me. Well, have you gotten out of your comfort zone and attended that event to see what it's all about? We've had a couple of events out at the community center. There was an open invitation, and those that we target to serve are the ones that don't come out. They're not, they don't think it's for them. Well, it is. It's an opportunity to get to meet that person that you thinks they're better than you, when they're not really. That's not their mindset. That's not their thought. And I'm gonna touch on another subject real quick here, and that is the interracial piece. This town has one of the largest interracial populations, and that has affected from the wealthiest to the poorest. So that makes us all intertwined. And if you meet some of the older folks that have that black or white grandchild, that mixed grandchild, they love that child with all of their heart. A grandchild makes a huge difference in a person's life. And I'm speaking firsthand because I'm involved in an interracial marriage. And, just a couple of minutes to get to know who the other part of that family is will change your life.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. So real quickly, in conclusion, what can we do as a community and as the police department to continue to develop strong relationships?
That brings a good point. It's called getting out and knowing your neighbors. Getting out and intermingling with folks that are outside of your race or outside of your culture. Just get to know these folks. Again, the center is open to everybody. So if I have a program, the Black History Month was well attended by many. And I was really pleased with that turnout because I saw people from across all cultures celebrating one race's history. But we need to learn to celebrate each other's history. You know, the Irish coming up for St. Patty's Day. You know, we got Cinco de Mayo. And we celebrate those, but we celebrate them in our own way in separate venues when we could do it all together. Bartlesville is big, but it's not so big that this should be one of the most cohesive and tight communities in the state of Oklahoma. You know, it has a lot to offer. It's always been a friendly town.
Absolutely. Well, Lorront, thank you. Not
Thank
just
you,
for
Chief.
being here, but for everything that you
Yes.
do for our community and for the relationships that we've developed
Ditto.
in my short time, and it's only going to get better.
Yes, sir.
Lorront is right. Our community deserves to be more cohesive, more united. Doesn't matter what we look like. Doesn't matter what our culture is.
That's right.
We're Bartlesville, and that's what matters. And that's why we're going to be the best, because we're going to continue developing relationships. It's going to make for a positive future for all of our kids.
Amen.
So thank you all for joining us again this week. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at BPD Badge, the Bartlesville Police Department Facebook page. Be sure to like us there, and also on YouTube at Behind the Badge. Until next week, take care, stay safe, and call us if you need us.